Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'll be sharing with you a 3-step process to being able to anchor in your new self-image and maintaining it. Now I know I've done some videos on this before, but today what I wanted to do was give a simple 3-step process that you can go back to in case you want to keep understanding how you recondition yourself to be who you prefer to be. Now, the importance of self-image, as I've also said many times, is that when we realize that we don't get in our life that necessarily which we want, but we always get a reflection of who we are being, and we see that our self-image is a powerful influence to who we are being in the moment, that's when then we begin to claim our power back by deciding who we prefer to be. Now, our self-image will contain the beliefs we have about who we are and how we fit into the world. Our self-image will involve how we relate to other people. There are many different facets to our self-image, but getting to the core of the way we define ourselves and really becoming aware of our self-image is part of the process. Now, the first step for this whole process is being able to have what is called metacognition. Now, that's just simply a fancy word for the ability to observe your own self-image. So you just ask yourself, what am I good at? What are my definitions about who I am? What are my personality traits? What are things that I'm bad at? All of these different traits, all of these labels are part that contribute to the self-image that we have about who we are. Now, all of these labels came from some experience of the past, through some reference experience of maybe a friend telling us that that is who we are, a parent telling us that is who we are, some actual visceral experience of something that reflected that idea back to us. But when we become aware of those definitions, when we start to even ask ourselves the question, what is my self-image? What do I define to be true? What am I good at? What am I bad at? As we look at these things and our brain starts to pull out the answers, that is the first step, because then we can see what our current self-image is. Now, the second step to this process is deciding that that is not who we prefer to be any longer, or maybe there's characteristics that we do prefer to continue to perpetuate. Now, this involves simply realizing that who we are being in this moment is a choice. Without knowing that it's a choice, we do not then own it and we cannot change it. We can only change it if we realize that we take responsibility and we are aware of what our self-image is. Now, the second part that I also want to reiterate and really emphasize to you is there's normally this connotation that to change is a bad thing. You know, I remember growing up, and I remember that sometimes I would go try something new or go hang out with a couple different friends or whatever it is, and you'd always have friends, or I would have friends that say, bro, you've changed, like it was a bad thing. We're conditioned at a certain level to think that change is bad. Many of us are. Realize first off that unless you start to associate change as to being a good thing because you see what you're changing to, you won't really be able to make that change because you don't think it's a good thing subconsciously. So realize first off that change is a good thing, that you must change in order to evolve if that's what your intention is. And obviously if you're watching this video, most likely your intention is to become aware of your self-image and to change whatever that is. So understanding that now we can decide who we prefer to be in the present moment, and part of that is letting go of the self-image that we have, becoming aware of it, and simply deciding and coming at peace with what that is, noticing that in the present moment that we can be grateful for that self-image because it got us to this point, and as we let it be okay for whatever it is, as we start to then observe what it is rather than react to it and have a charge to it, then we can simply decide that we are going to be who we prefer to be. And there's a powerful process or a powerful tip I want to give for this that I haven't given before. And it's understanding that first off, like I said, those traits came from past experiences. If we had things being reflected back to us that said that we're generally a compassionate person, we're able to remember those past experiences of us being compassionate. Now, when it comes to putting in the new self-image, it's about, first off, simply realizing and deciding that that is who we are going this point forward. But what we can also do is take some of those traits that we have, now under the new self-image, and also begin to take it and tailor it in and see it in the past. So, for example, you might have a desire to be somebody that, for example, takes action. Maybe you want to be a goal-getter, and before, under the last self-image that you had, you were more of someone that put things to the side and procrastinated. Well, if you ask the question, when in my life was I somebody that got something done, there is a time, if you remember it, that you were that way, that you have some memory of it. It's simply harder to remember with the momentum of the old self-image. Now, as you continue to ask it and to pull out those memories you have of those traits, you will start to attract yourself towards being that person, towards re-emphasizing that wiring in a part of who you are, and then more likely you're able to then create it now in the present moment, to then see it in the future, and then to create it in the future. So the idea is that most of who we are being is on autopilot, based upon the definitions we have, based upon the self-image that we have. But now that we're aware of who we prefer to be, we can now start to implement that into who we are. Now, the third step is, and involves the repetition and conditioning of that trait, of that self-image. So most of who we've been, it's been based upon repetition, just on subconscious, been on autopilot. Now that we're becoming aware of it, the idea is that we must do it over and over again. I would recommend doing this maybe 2 or 3 times a day, of simply imagining who you prefer to be and how you prefer to be. Feel into it and simply know that when you come out of that visualization that maybe took 5 or 10 minutes, you simply decide that that is who you are, and you carry yourself in that way. You let your body language, the way that you're walking, the way that you talk to other people, be mirrored of that self-image. Now, I also want to give a powerful technique for being able to feel into this more. I've talked many times about visualization, but a powerful way to bring visualization into more of a powerful idea is to feel and focus on whatever your strong point is. So some people are able to feel more into it and just have that kind of feeling underneath it. Some people are visually able to see when it comes to visualization. Some people can hear easier. Some people are able to tap into each of those things in a different way. Now, a way to make it much more powerful is to first off focus on the one that comes even a little bit easier for you, and then from that point to add another sense perception into it. That will make it more real and will help you to wire that experience into you even stronger. So for example, if you're imagining yourself as somebody that feels whole and complete, you can imagine yourself in knowing that you are living your passion, that you feel like you are enough. As you begin to just simply imagine a certain scenario, maybe you imagine yourself feeling whole and complete, maybe with the reflection of that as someone else in your life, and you imagine yourself at the beach talking to that person, and you guys going on a nice walk. You can imagine that and then begin to imagine maybe the taste of like the salt in the air or the breeze that's coming through. As you begin to then focus on the sounds and the visual part of it, you begin to add in different sense perceptions into it. It makes it much more real and much more powerful. That will help to anchor in that self-image more and more, and simply do that once or twice a day. And as you begin to do that more and more, and you simply rinse and repeat, it becomes easier and easier. So remember, all you simply have to do is become aware of the current self-image that you have. Realize that that self-image is a perpetual perpetuation of who you've chosen to be, that you are letting go of that state of being, you are letting go of that self-image, and then the second step are you are deciding who you are now in the present moment. That from there, as you simply choose who you are, you can condition yourself over and over again, many times, maybe 2 or 3 times a day, and as you do that over and over again, you are wiring yourself towards being able to maintain it. Remember that you will get a reflection in your life of your old self-image for a period of time, but as long as you hold the frame and you continue to be who you prefer to be, eventually the external will change. So just remember that when you go along the process. Remember that you are enough, that all you have to do is be who you prefer to be, and as you simply decide that that is who you are now, that's when you'll see the change in your life. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and as always, I will see you guys on the next vid. Peace, much love, namaste. Alright, bye.